Hey, friends, welcome back to the Hey Friend podcast. We are super, super, super happy to have you here today. All right. So, what in the world are we talking about today, Ben?
We'll find out
Okay.
right now.
All right.
So we're going to talk about how do I get together with my friends more. A common conversation I have with people is, man, like I've got these good friends, but I don't see them nearly enough. Or like I haven't seen this friend for 6 months. Or another conversation similar in content is like the common young adult bemoaning of, man, to hang out with these people, I've got to plan 6 months in advance. We just had this happen with another family at our church where we were trying to do a double date with this other couple. And we were like throwing out dates. And it ended up being, it was like a month and a half out. That was the only time that worked for us because they have multiple kids. We have multiple kids. A little bit different when you don't have kids. But the reality is in the modern world, man, we got full schedules. We have full lives. So the question is, how do we make time for our friends?
Yeah. There's three problems, right? So, let's get a little bit spiritual here, right? So, the enemy is the enemy of the flesh, right? The enemy of this world. And then who else? Satan, right?
Yeah,
Right. So,
yeah.
there's another enemy there. So, that's all. So, the flesh, what does the flesh desire? We're prideful people. We're selfish people. It's what I want to do. I'm too busy. I got kids. I got work. I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
And that can become pride, right?
Totally.
And then you have the world's view. It's like, man, it's like, watch this show or go to this movie or do this by yourself or read this book or like what does the world give the things that I enjoy? I want to do those things.
Yeah.
And the enemy is against God. He hates God. And
not only God, I think the evil one clearly scripturally is out opposed to anything that is goodness or beauty or light.
yeah.
And friendship is a good thing. It's a gift from God. So Satan's going to be opposed to that.
And how do we fight all of that? Jesus, right?
Yeah.
How do we look? The best thing you can do in your life is to look more like Jesus, to act more like Jesus, to do the things that He's done, and man, He does all the changing. So starting knowing that first, of like, man, it's like, all right, now, even for my friends, we are. These guys are really close to me. We're all really super close, and that is the hardest group that I have to get time with. That we try to find time to get together. That is the hardest group. But this, I think there's this thing we have to also challenge ourselves too of like, man, how is this important to me? We all have work.
Yeah.
We all have things going on. We already meet once a week, and once a week when we meet, we have hard conversation. And I feel like every time we get together, do we need to have hard conversation, stuff like that? Like we forgot to play, really. That's what it came down to.
Yeah.
And so starting like, okay, what did I do? What are some things am I doing that I'm not? If I say with my mouth that this thing is important to me, our friendships are important, but my actions don't look the same, something's going on, right?
Yeah.
I was just telling Ben this, I was like, I like going to the gym in the morning. There's nothing you can do or nothing that anyone can do that's okay. You can't go to the gym. Like there's nothing. I'll run through a wall if I have to,
Not even if I offer to make you pancakes for breakfast.
No, I'm going in the morning, So, and I'm not saying I'm being consistent with it, but I like to do that, right?
Yeah.
And that's important to me, and I need to do that because it's really changed my life, right? So now I care about that.
Yeah.
If I put the same energy as I put here to my friends, and making that important, like, hey, we need to hang out, hey, we need to play, hey, we need to spend more time together, we need to do these things, because at the end of the day, all this other stuff that I have, we don't get to take with us, right?
Yep.
And our last breath, we're gonna remember. I think most people remember, like, man, the relationships, the memories, the experiences that they made with others.
Yeah.
Totally. So it's important. It's important to hang out with your friends, but it's hard. We're all so busy. We're all doing a lot of different things, and we're tired. We're tired.
Yeah.
So
I think an important biblical fundamental of what is true, a biblical anthropology, to use the fancy word for here's what human nature
that's
is.
a big word.
Is that we as human beings always do what we want to do. You chase what you love. You do what you desire. Eve in Genesis sees the fruit and sees that it's desirable And that's what motivates her to take it. It's not that she sits down and has this logical thought process of, this is reasonable, and this is the. It's that she sees, beholds it, desires it, and goes and takes it. Similarly, in the modern world, right, and just human nature, again, biblical anthropology, is that we do what we most desire. So if you're saying over and over, and this is me kind of just reiterating what you're saying to affirm it, if you're like, man, I really want to spend time with my friends, but then you're not doing that, that probably means you have some other higher love. You're valuing something else more than you value your friends.
Let's just end the podcast there.
Well, that would be ending it on an unhopeful full note, which is not where we're going to end. But I think that's an important thing to wrestle with and do that self-evaluation of, man, I might be complaining about this and saying, oh, I want to see my friends more. Why do I not, or why don't I have friends? Or why don't my friends come and see me or whatever? You need to evaluate what's actually motivating me, if that's an ongoing, and obviously there's going to be seasons of life where there's some ups and downs of frequency. But if the trend over time is that same thing has been an issue, look at your heart and say, what's actually motivating me? And biblically, right, it's pretty clear that we are called to be gathering with people. Hebrews chapter 10 noted it down here. I won't read the whole verse, but Hebrews chapter 10, 23 through 25, is where the writer of Hebrews is saying, hey, don't forsake the gathering together of the body. Come together regularly and encourage one another. And we typically talk about that in the sense of like, hey, go to church on Sunday morning and be there.
What is the church?
That's a part of it.
Yeah, but what is the church?
Yeah, is the church a Sunday morning meeting, or is the church the body of Christ, the people of God? Which would include, if your friends are Christians, that includes spending time with your friends.
Yeah, and like as you say that, like, man, that's so true for me too. I've acted like that. I'm like, man, like I got all these other things going on. They're important, but they're not as important as all these other things.
Yeah.
That's what I'm technically saying. I desire this and I want this. I want to hang out, but man, like the best thing you do is take that step, right? Take that action. Stop talking about it and just take that action, right? How important is that? Like, if your friendships are important to you, take that step. Yeah. Take that step of hanging out. Take that step of having those hard conversations. Take that step of actually playing and having fun too, right? So, but I feel like for me, sometimes it's easier to hang out with someone that's not as close to me, someone that doesn't know everything about me.
Sure.
It's easier to hang out because it's easier to have more fun with them.
Yeah.
And a couple times in my life, I had to just like pause and say, all right, it's easier to talk to these guys, just to have fun. I'm not thinking about all these other things. Someone that doesn't know me as well. But over here, the guys are really, really close to me. The guys that care for me. The guys that have seen all the parts of me, of like the good and the bad. I don't know if it's scared of that. I don't know what, there's tension between that, right? But what I started doing now, it's like, okay, I want that. And that's easy over here. I was like, how can I apply that with these friends too, right? So like just taking that, instead of me just sitting here and like, okay, what is happening, thinking about it and like wrestling with it. It's like, all right, Lord, whatever step I need to take, just help me take that step. So one of my friends, him and his wife, they started playing pickleball. Like every Wednesday we play pickleball together, right? Not very good at pickleball, getting better, but not very good. But it's so fun. We're all kind of competitive guys too, and it's fun to sometimes win. It's not fun to lose, but it's fun to have fun with them, you know. And we're doing other things too. It's like, okay, we're gonna be intentional about this, especially this year for our life group, the guys that I'm doing life with. Okay, we're going to have fun. We're gonna do things outside of our Monday meetings, right? We're gonna. We all went to a wedding. One of the guys in the group got married this weekend. I'm telling you, that was the most fun I've had this year, you know.
Awesome.
And these guys, it was just so beautiful. And it was so, you know, my friend goes up there, he's talking about it, man, it's like, I'm supposed to die for her. I care for her. I love her. And Christ tells me to serve her this way. He says that in front of everyone. It's like, man, and like, we all are in the dance floor, we're all having fun. And like, man, after that ended, it's like, that was just beautiful.
Yeah.
That was just all amazing. Now, we don't have to have a wedding to only have fun. We can apply that in all other areas in our lives too. So yeah, I think it's important to hang out. So again,
Yeah, the consistency there, and what you were talking about there, I think, is the question of what do you do with your friends when you're together. Like, one of those things for sure, like you're saying, is it's crucial to have fun together, play together, enjoy life together. But also, like you mentioned, your group of guys has tended more naturally to do is have real conversations, get to know each other deeply, talk about the hard stuff. We have episodes where we've talked about that. How do you have hard conversations with your friends? And if I was going to add a third thing there, like what do I do with my friends? Go, okay, have fun together, get to know each other more deeply. Don't stay at the surface level. And number three, bring God into the mix in that conversation. That might mean, man, when we're together, we're going to pray together, or that might mean we're going to study the scripture, or it might just mean we're going to be intentional as we converse about inviting God into that conversation, into that play that we're doing, and realize, man, God is present with us wherever we go. And if you have those three things present in some way, there's going to be different times together with different groups of friends are going to have different mixes of those three things. But if you have all three of those present when you're gathering with your friends, that's going to be valuable and an impactful time.
You said those three things again. So go deep with your friends. That's important. Having those hard conversations, getting to know each other, really. The second thing is you said was to play, to have fun, to do things that are, man, that brings that laughter out of you, and bring God into those things. Am I missing anything else?
That was the three.
Okay. Yeah, bringing God to all those, whatever we do, whether it's little or small, whether we eat or drink, do it to glorify Him. And sometimes, for us, is we do too much of going deep, getting to know each other
with your group of guys.
Yeah, and then we forget to have fun. We forget to, enjoy what's in front of us, right?
Yeah.
When we go deep, we're trying to just, lift up each other, and that's important, right? But we can't forget to have fun, right? So that's important too. So make sure that's a balance in your guys' friendships too, and do everything you can to remember that. Like in times of going deep, like those are so important. That's gonna build a lot of new friendships, just as the moments of you guys are having fun too. I think that's gonna build a lot. I think we're saying, oh, we need to go have fun. That's less as important. No, that's just important. I think so.
Yeah. So let me give, for those of you listening, I think if we were talking about this before we started recording, if I could give you one secret for how do I spend more time with your friends, how do I get more time with my friends, schedule it. Build, and that's like, build it into the rhythm of your life, because the way that the modern world works is we have these structures, we have these rhythms, right? Most likely, and there's people whose lives are exceptions to this, but in general, culturally, we function on a week schedule. Probably you have plenty of events that you do weekly. Most likely you have a job that has a set schedule. And that's just the way life tends to work in the Western world. So one of the best ways, if you're like, man, how do I spend more time with my friends? Build it into the rhythm of your life. Maybe you say, let's start doing a monthly game night, or let's pick a show that we all want to watch together, and we're going to come over every Wednesday and have dinner and watch the show, or whatever. Let's meet up. I've got a friend. Maybe say, hey, I've got a friend who works in a similar part of town to me. Let's meet up for lunch, or let's meet up for coffee after work or before work. Build it into the rhythm of your life.
Or one of my friends, he was like, hey, I'm going to the grocery store, and I want to come. Yep. I'll be there. I need some groceries too. Let's just go together.
Yeah, and that would be a second way. I think invite people into the stuff you're already doing, because the reality is we have limited time, and you can't do everything. So why not invite friends into the portions of your life that you have to do anyways?
If you are someone just like me, just like most of us, sometimes we overcommit to a lot of different things, right? The best thing you can do is do less.
Yeah.
Jesus wasn't running all the time. He was walking, right? So it's like, I'm reading this book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. It's changing me for sure, but it just talks about like slow down, and you don't have to get everything done today. You don't have to do all that. Do less and do the things that are important. When you do less, do those things that are important.
Yeah.
Spending time with the Lord, that's important. Spending time with godly people, that's important. And man, going into the world and telling everyone about Him, That's important, right?
Yeah.
Now, what other things are important, right? When I said spending time with godly people, that includes your family, your friends, and all that, the church, that's important, right? And going out and, man, spreading the truth, spreading the gospel, I think that's important too.
Yeah.
But all those other little things, I feel like, and I hate to call it little, but it's like, we don't get to take that stuff with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to build a big business, build it, but you won't take it with you.
Yeah. That's important. Yeah. We talked earlier about, the world, the flesh, and the devil. And one of the things that's fundamental to the world is these systems and structures of beliefs and habits that we just kind of are born into and live into. And the world that we're in America is oftentimes values productivity, financial security, and all this kind of constellation of things that comes with that then actually draws us away from what biblically is most important, which is the relationships that God has put us in. It's not that we shouldn't attempt to find financial security, not that we shouldn't work, but that's not the most important thing.
Yeah. I'm someone that, if I say something, I want to do what I say. I don't want to be double-minded person. I don't want to say one thing and doing something totally different. So, we are going to throw an event one of these times, hopefully before the summer ends on our end. And if you're like, hey, I want to be part of one of those events, let us know. Send us an Instagram DM and we'll invite you to this event, So an opportunity that you can make some new friends. So if you're interested in coming, if you're listening to this podcast, just send us a DM and we'll keep you informed on that. So hang out with your friends. Have fun.
Make time for it.
Yeah. Schedule time with your friends. Put it on your calendar. Be intentional about it.
Or on the back of your hand or on the wall if you don't follow a calendar.
Sticky notes, we don't care. Just put it somewhere, and make it a habit too of hanging out with your friends, I would say, Just like if you do something every Wednesday, this is what you do. Make sure your friends are part of that, I guess.
Totally.
That's what I would say. And man, it's important to go deep. It's important to have fun with your friends and make sure what you do both of those things, invite God into it.
Yeah.
That's important. Whatever you do, again, do it to glorify him with your friendships, with the times you spend with all of it, So hang out with your friends. I know it's hard. I know you're busy. I know you have a lot of things going on in your life, but I promise you, they are a joy, and they can just remind you who's better, and Jesus is better. Have fun, go deep, and invite him into it. So,
amen.
Amen to that. All right, friends, we'll see you next week. We love you. Peace. Hey, friend, thanks for listening. We're all about equipping you to pursue real friendships. You were not created to be alone, because life is just better with real friends. Let's get started.